Happy friggin' Wednesday, everybody. Here we are, 4 hours till midnight, coast to coast, and a mile high here in the altitude. And I'm excited to share yet another awesome Wednesday evening with you. Yeah. Give it up to you, and while you're doing that, make sure to Spartan kick the like button.
This is Sparta!
All right, I'll go easy on the sound effects. I've heard from members of the community that sound effects can be great, but they can also be overdone. So we're trying to rein it in, baby. We're trying to keep things copacetic, keep them enjoyable, but not too enjoyable, because that would be a damn shame, wouldn't it? I have fun with the sound effects, but I recognize that sometimes they can go a little too far. Anyways, I was almost late to the live because I've got so many boxes on my desk right now. It's a good thing that the camera's facing me and not facing down at the moment, because if it was, you'd probably tell me to clean my room. It's embarrassing how many knife boxes I've got. But for those of you who are wondering what I carried today, carried this guy. Just released an episode on this earlier today, and gotta tell you guys, if you haven't seen my review on this yet, do that after the live stream. Go and watch it. It's such a good knife, such a good knife. This is the DC Blades Cedo, and man, oh man, I'm loving this knife. This is probably one of my favorite knife releases this year. It was announced a year ago. There was a pre-order, and then they're like, wait a second, we're going to make a bunch of changes. And so they killed the pre-order because they didn't want people to like expect one thing and then get something completely different. And they have my respect for that. Taking a whole year to make sure that they got it right, but also not to deliver something completely unexpected to the people that were investing in it, and then taking all of that financial responsibility on themselves and releasing it a year later. I got to say, the DC Blade Cedo was done right, and I love this knife. This is a fantastic knife. But this has been in my pocket for the last couple of days. It's been dominating my pocket in a very good way, and I have absolutely no regrets. But with all of that being said, it's time to say hello to some of the good people in the chat. Shout out to my man Charles Wooden. Welcome in, man. Thanks for being the first person in the chat. He says, where's Marco? Marco is, you know what? Everyone needs a day off, okay? Like Marco decided to give someone else the top spot, and today he gifted that to Charles. So Charles, thank you for being the first person in the chat. And don't you worry, because Marco is right behind him. What's up, Marco? Welcome in. Addicted to Blades. Good to see you, my man. Thanks for joining in. We got Greg Vanderlip. We got Crazy Roach. Thank you for being a channel member. Oh, yeah. Good to see you, man. Jim Miller in the house. Another channel member. How's it going, Jim? Joseph S. PJ Crabtree. Ed B in the house. He says, how's everyone this evening? I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic because today it was like Christmas. It really was. Aside from carrying this super badass knife for the last couple of days, I had 4 really, really sweet knives show up today, and I'm vibrating with excitement. I'm a child when it comes to these things, because I absolutely get excited each and every time the mailman shows up and I'm watching him and we make eye contact, and I'm like, you got something for me? He doesn't even put it in my mailbox anymore. He just hands it to me. It's like, here you go, you psychopath. He doesn't say that, but sometimes I think that's what's going on in his head as he sees me receive yet another package from yet another knife company. It's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Anyways, I'm monologuing, but let's continue to say hi to people. Welcome into the ponds. Good to see you, my man. All right. the chat's going to skip. It does this every time. I get too far away and it says, nope, this is it. Welcome into Leafy Wiggy. Good to see you as well. Knives Fast in the house. We'll Spartan kick the like button one time for my man Knives Fast.
This is Sparta!
Hey, I said I would tone down the sound effects. I wouldn't get rid of them completely. They'll be reasonable. Maybe. Anyways, welcome into Knives Fast. Good to see you. And Brian Whited, welcome in as well. Lone Star Towboy in the house, another channel member. Thank you for being a channel member, Lone Star. He says the carry of the day is the Cold Steel Highlight 6 and the Mini Recon Clip Point. My man is armed to the teeth. Goes nowhere without his Cold Steels. I'm always, every Wednesday and Saturday, I'm always looking forward to seeing what Cold Steel Lone Star is carrying that day, because he's got a number of them and he always carries a different Cold Steel. All right. And we're going. Hey, shout out to Crazy Roach, channel member for 6 months.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Thank you for being a channel member for 6 months. Congratulations on your 6-month anniversary. And for his anniversary message, he chose to say 6 months. You know, it blows me away how many live streams I've done at this point, because I've done this now for I've had the channel for about 28 months. It's unbelievable. I was going through my live streams the other day. I was like, I wonder what I could do to make my live streams more entertaining. And I started looking at some of the old ones, and they have progressively gotten a little bit better over time. But if you have any ideas as to what I could do to make the live streams more enjoyable, feel free to shout it out in the chat, and hopefully I will see that at some point throughout the live. Anyways, Crazy Roach, you're the man. Thanks again, and we're going to keep it rolling. Welcome into St. Ill. Welcome into Rebel Rouser. He says, what's up, Rolls? I'm living the dream, man. We're living the dream a little bit at a time, and I'm super excited for this next week. We've got some really, really cool knives that are going to end up on the channel. One that I would love to show you right now, but we're going to wait. We're going to wait until the actual review. Self-control. It's important. The Pond says, Ed B, first the voice, now vibrations. I have no chance. I have no chance. Welcome into Sunshine. He says, hi, y'all. What do you think about this $10 Walmart knife with D2 steel? You got to be more specific. There's a lot of $10 Walmart knives with D2 steel. John Blackman, welcome in. Thanks for being a channel member. Good to see you. Jason Beecher says, I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. I'm heading to bed. Well, thank you for joining while you did, Jason. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll catch you on the flip side, my man. And hold on. I think Ryan Dye is somewhere in the chat. Welcome in, Ryan Dye. Good to see you. There you are. Welcome in, guys. So it's been a hell of a couple days, and I've been struggling because there's so many good knives that are coming out. There's so many amazing knives that never used to be in stock ever, and now they're in stock. I'm wondering how many other people out there are like me, rocking with champagne tastes on a beer budget. I was thinking about it. I was like, how hard is it for some people to see to have so many amazing options? Because it was easier when certain knives that we were targeting were out of stock all the time, because then, you'd have time to build up your funds. You'd have time to save up. You could say, okay, I'm going to sell 10 knives, and then I'm just going to hold on to this cash until there's a drop, and you could target it. Now it's just like, well, this is available, and this is available, and this is available, and they still sell out, but they're available more than ever before. I'm wondering if anyone else is struggling with that. Knives Fast says, the Walmart bug out does not interest me any more than the actual bug out does. Yeah, I have no desire to buy a regular bug out either. It doesn't do anything for me. I've got so many knives that I would much rather have than a regular bug out. You know what? I'll show you one. This guy right here is one of my favorite small crossbar style knives. This is the Vostede Mini Psyop, and this is fantastic. LMAX steel. We've got the basket weave carbon fiber. The crossbar lock itself is adjustable. And shout out to everyone out there who was brave enough to do that. Because I took this apart. And when I took this knife apart to adjust it, because I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, like I hadn't really thought about it. Hadn't really thought about the fact that I don't really have a ton of crossbar style locks. And so I hadn't really took one apart. And so I took it apart and I struggled to get it back together. I had to go and watch somebody else's video. I was embarrassed. I was like, you know, how many hundreds of knives have I handled in the last 2 years and 4 months? And I never took apart a crossbar lock. The shame. But I'm okay to admit it to you guys. The shame. But I watched the video and it made sense. It wasn't easy. But I can tell you this. The Mini Psyop is definitely one of those where I do recommend going a bit lighter on the lock, because lighter on the lock just improves the action. Right out of the box, this had the stiffer crossbars. It had the stiffer setting for the lock, which some people might say, oh, you know, I prefer that. But when I set it to the lightest setting, it made the action really smooth. Absolutely no grit, no grinding. And it's just really enjoyable. LMAX steel, carbon fiber. I believe this is under $150. Yeah, why would I get a bug out when I could carry this? And the cutting geometry is insane. That is thinner. That is a thinner blade stock than my Neutron 2, which is insanity because the Neutron 2 is insanely thin. All right. Oh my goodness. A shout out to Rebel Rouser. Congratulations and welcome into the new channel member. New connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny.
This is Sparta!
Welcome in, man. Thanks for becoming a channel member. We definitely appreciate you. Ian Coates in the house. Good to see you, Ian. He says, I heard Axis locks are royal pains to put back together. I know that you know, because I believe you and I were in the same Everyday Minimalist live stream watching him take one apart. He was doing a disassembly live stream and he was taking requests, and someone said, do a crossbar lock. And he's like, oh, I could do this. And then we spent like an hour watching him struggle to put one back together. And I could have sworn you were in that live stream with me, Ian. I've got a memory like an elephant, but I just remembered that live stream when I took my Mini Psyop apart and I was like, this is that, just minus the audience. Yeah, I highly suggest that everyone gets used to doing this. You know what? You got to do it though. That's the thing, is they made this adjustable for a reason. And as soon as you learn the trick to taking these apart and putting them back together, being able to adjust the stiffness of the spring is 100% where it's at. And it makes life more enjoyable with these locks, because especially with the Vostede crossbar style locks, they are adjustable. Tune it to your preference. I like this one very light. Maybe you want it a bit stiffer. But not being able to do that is a crying shame. Ian Coates says, what knife is in his hand? This is the Vostede Mini Psyop. And I absolutely love this knife. Vostede's been killing it this year, man. They've been doing a fantastic job. LMAX steel, shredded carbon, not shredded, excuse me, basket weave carbon fiber, crossbar lock that is adjustable. Yeah, no, this is fantastic. And I love the cutting geometry on here. It is so good. It's so good. It's always on my desk. If I want to compare how slicey something is, usually I would pull out my Neutron 2, but this is actually thinner blade stock than the Neutron 2, which is crazy. It's not a big knife. It's super carry friendly. I need to do a follow-up video on it because I've carried it a lot. Rebel Rouser says, I just purchased a Monster Glideman in blue titanium, and I can't wait to get it in hand. So, I'll give you guys a bit of a sneak peek. One of the knives that came in today that is on my table that I'm really excited to make some content on is a Monster. And I am very, very impressed. The first thought in my head when I took it out of the box, because you guys know me, I don't do unboxings. I usually internalize a lot of my feelings when it comes to like my first responses. It's really difficult for me to do that. So my regular content is just review style. I'm not a shock jockey. That's not me. So my first impressions of a knife are always internalized, which is why I don't do unboxings very well. And the first thought in my head when I took that Monster out of the box was, this company, who is this company? They have absolutely no business being this good. Like, really good. And all we know for certain is that Monster has been doing OEM work for years. And so, you know, when you handle one of those great knives from one of those brands where they're like, yeah, we're not disclosing the OEM, and they just use a shadow OEM, but they do a really good job. Monster has got to be one of those shadow OEMs that just got really tired of everyone else putting their name on their amazing work, because they came out of nowhere and they are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Welcome into Louie. Good to see you, Louie. Welcome into Sterling Stoots. Good to see you, man. Mark Park's in the house. All right. Lone Star says keyboard warrior syndrome drama is strong this morning. I'm not a keyboard warrior. I'm a keyboard Templar. I have a really bad habit of leaving long comments that nobody wants to read. It's why I started this channel, because I would just watch knife reviews and I would leave comments that were, you know, you could measure with a yardstick. And finally, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to write all this out, I might as well just make videos about it. And the rest is history. Lonnie Hutchison, thank you for being a channel member. Welcome in. He says, a very small drill bit can make any of them adjustable. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Ian Coates says, got a little chub going for that mini psyop. Dude, it is really good. It is really good. And you know, the best thing about this is that this is a knife that doesn't take up a whole lot of real estate. I've got medium to large size hands. I can still get a 4-finger grip on it. There's no jimping, but honestly, with a blade stock this thin, jimping is not necessary on a thin profile like this. This blasts through cardboard like nobody's business. You know what? I got a piece of cardboard right here. I'll show you. All right, guys. I got a little carried away. This knife excites me. I like this knife. I like it a lot. Genuinely one of my favorite Vostids this year, without a shadow of a doubt. Louis says, that's what she said. Stiffer. Ian Coates says, Monster, the next big thing. I am still confused as to just how they came out of nowhere. I really want to show you guys the one that I got today, but I don't want to give away the review before I do the actual review, because I really, really want to knock this one out of the park. I want to do the knife justice, and I want to give myself enough time to formulate a good basis of an opinion. I want to give myself enough time to actually think about what they've achieved here, because the way the knife feels in the hand is phenomenal. The milling work is phenomenal. The action is phenomenal. It seems like all the details were thought about beforehand in a way that I'm not used to seeing. I'm used to being able to look at a knife and go, you know what, this is nice, this is nice, this is nice, but I would prefer if they had done these things. Then I'll have a small laundry list of things that I would have preferred to have seen. But I'm kind of struggling on this one on my laundry list. So I'm going to give myself some time to really think about it. Welcome into Evil E. Good to see you. Ian Coates says, anyone know if the gray ceramic Shimo will restock on Cavil's website? I have no idea. Ian Coates says, keyboard Templar, you're erasing paganism behind your keyboard, the alleged glory. We're not going down that rabbit hole, Ian. Not today. Welcome into El Navajero. Good to see you. Lone Star says the Cold Steel Marauder serrated for the Big Bowie fix. The Big Bowie fixed. Somebody's gonna really give me a hard time because I said Bowie instead of Bowie. I know it. Rhodey says those Axis locks are a bastard to put back together. You know who has a good video on doing the Vosteed crossbar locks for the disassembly and reassembly is Vu Fam. Vu Fam is all over Instagram, social media. Just look up Vosteed. I think he did one for the which one was it? I have it. For the Mini Nightshade. And while this is a completely different knife from the Mini Psyop, they use a very, very similar setup for the crossbar lock. And so that's what I did. I watched his video on how to disassemble and reassemble this guy. And it worked. It worked 100%. And being able to change the stiffness of the lock made a huge difference in how I enjoy using and deploying this knife. So that would be my suggestion. If you want to give it a shot, look up Vu Fam's disassembly and reassembly video on the Vosteed Mini Nightshade. Same thing for 90% of Vosteed's crossbar style locks. Ian says, I need that spec of Mini Psyop. It's a really good one. It is a really good one. Rebel Rouser says, what's everyone carrying today? I had the Kaiser 80s camo in mine today. Was that the Kaiser Milita in the 80s camo? Gosh, that looks good. Looks really good. Ian says, I'm more of a keyboard berserker. Knives Fast says, hot take. The Mini Psyop is quite too small for me. It's hard to argue with ergos in hand because everyone's hands are a little bit different. Casey's got those working man hands. Craig Vincent, good to see you. Rebel Rouser says the Glideman, that's not, I'll say this, the one that I have, the one that came in today is not the Glideman. Although the Glideman looks pretty fantastic as well. Knives Fast says the Aurora Rays is fire. The Pond says the bestechman good boy for a quick morning at work. Clear scale drop bears since I got home. Nice. It's a solid carry. Welcome into Rambo Adventures. He says Thailand in the house from across the world and many ponds. Good to see you, Rambo. Welcome in. Hey, and shout out to Jay Korskinen, channel member for 11 months. You're almost at that 1 year anniversary, my man. Oh man, Jay, thank you so much for riding with the channel for 11 months. That is fantastic. Rambo says, Rollshambo, Devo's new tall boy looks like a banger at $199 in S90V. Yeah, it really does. And spoiler alert, we're going to have one on the channel. It's on the way. And I've been excited for the tall boy for all year. That's when I found out about the tall boy. I want to say that I found out about the tall boy back in maybe it was January. And I was seeing pictures and Lefty kept teasing the photos. And it kind of looks like You know what it looks like? It looks like a Craig Brown Cortex that normal people can afford. That's what it looks like to me. I love that blade shape. And I love the different carbon fiber options. It's going to be really, really great. I think they're releasing September 12th. But I can't wait to get one in hand. I believe there's going to be like Zerktai or Timascus kits available for them. Stay tuned on that one, guys. If you save up, if you have $200 to spend on a knife and you're waiting to spend it on a knife, wait for the tall boy. That I am willing to bet that is definitely going to be one that people are going to want. I have a feeling they're going to sell out. All the different versions look fantastic. Welcome into Donnie Baraja, says carrying the new Wii thumb stud Praxis. Very nice. Ian Coates says Casey has those slip joint hands. What are slip joint hands? Man, I feel like I'm falling behind here. I don't know this terminology. Ed B says, cuddle up to that like button and give it a squeeze. Roll will appreciate the love. Yes, I will. Let YouTube know that we're here and that we're live, baby. Palmer Connolly, welcome in. He says, what up? First day of college over and done with. Hey, congratulations. Round of applause for you. It has been... The last time I was in college was 2010. It's really been 14 years since the last time I set foot in the hallowed halls of secondary education. It's been a minute. Good times back then, though. But congratulations, man. Hey, welcome into Todd Carr. Good to see you. And Gnarly Charlie, thank you for being a channel member.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Rambo says, yeah, I'm going to get that White Mountain Knives exclusive titanium version of the tall boy since they shipped to Thailand. Fantastic. That's I don't think that there's a bad looking version of the tall boy. The White Mountain Knives version, full titanium, gorgeous. The camo carbon fiber versions, gorgeous. 80s camo, gorgeous. The purple one, gorgeous. They all look good. They really do. Knives Fast says, I reviewed the tall boy, pretty type, and loved it, and now I have one on the way as well. If you know, you know. Devo is one of those companies that is very... I feel like they're quiet about the fact that they're so good. Has Devo released a knife that hasn't been good? I can't think of it. I can't think of a single Devo production knife that I looked at and was like, well, that was bad. I can't. On some level, they are all really good. I think that says something in today's day and age. Hey, welcome into Pocket Razors, guys. Pocket Razors in the house. Good to see you, man. If you guys haven't checked out Pocket Razor's channel, do so. Watch his live streams. They're very entertaining. My man has great camera presence. Pocket Razors, welcome in. Again, good to see you. All right. I'm scrolling through the comments. It jumped again. Go figure. Palmer says, Ian's going to be a metallurgist, or at least that's the plan. That takes a lot of time and energy. We're going through. Welcome into PJ Crabtree. Good to see you. Experience Precision. Welcome in. He says, love the mild pattern on the carbon. That what a terrific idea, like no one has done, but you would think they have. It's such a great idea. Are we talking about the camo carbon on the tall boys? Let me see if I can find pictures. Devo tall boy. I want to find specifically. Here we go. So I know that this one's going to be popular. Boom, here we go. And I'll clear the chat comment real quick. So this is the Devo tall boy. For those of you who are wondering what knife it is that we're gushing over, this is the traditional pocket knives exclusive in 80s camo carbon fiber. And I gotta say, the picture does not do it justice. You have to see the camo carbon fiber on camera because it has dimension. It's like the shine. There's a shine that shifts in the light, and it looks fantastic. So this is going to be the traditional pocket knives version, and they already have the countdown timer, 14 days. My suggestion to all of you guys out there, pick one that you know is your favorite, because there's also going to be a Blade Binge exclusive. A Devo website is going to have both the Jack Sparrow version and the Purple Nurple version. White Mountain Knives is going to have the titanium version. And the S90V, Lefty mentioned in a video that he did on the Tallboy, I think he released it this morning, Kubi is the OEM, and Kubi's heat treats lately, their heat treat has been fantastic. They have switched to a vacuum / cryo treat, which has given them some extremely good results. And so they sent a punch to Lefty of the S90V, and it tested at 62. To give you an idea of how good that is, most S90V on the market will have better wear resistance than M390. But most S90V on the market comes in at 59 because manufacturers just don't want to have to mill hardened S90V. And if it's just one sample that they sent him, he's expecting the actual range to be between 60 to 62. S90V at 62, just put your sharpener away. You won't be needing that. So this is the 80s camo carbon version. Looks phenomenal. Looks way better in person and on camera. Trust me. Looks good in the pictures, but you missed the dimension in pictures. Let's see if Devo Knives has pictures of the purple and black one. They don't. Not yet. That's too bad. What about White Mountain Knives? I bet White Mountain Knives has the listing for the Tallboy is coming soon. What do you want to bet? The Tallboy. All right. So this is the full titanium version. Blue pivot collar. Blue thumb stud. Looks fantastic. I love the way that lock bar pops out at the side right there. It's a good looking knife. Plus, $199 minus 10% off. You can use code RSB10 for 10% off, which means that you could actually get this for $180. Rambo Adventures, use the discount code. Don't pay $199, pay $180. Do it. That is definitely the way to go on that. So yeah, that is going to be the White Mountain Knives exclusive in titanium. And Blade Binge. Can we see the Blade Binge Tallboy yet? No. Bummer. Okay. Anyways, the Blade Binge version is going to be the dark mode. That's what they do. They do the dark mode. And so I want to say that the color is like this bluish green kind of camo carbon fiber. They all look good. They all look good. It just kind of depends on what you want. Anyways. So yeah, if you can't tell, I'm really excited for the Tallboy. It's probably my most anticipated Devo knife release of the year. Let's go ahead and check back in with the chat. Hey, Knives Fast, thanks for dropping by, man. Give it up for Knives Fast one time. We'll catch you on the flip side, Casey.
Oh, yeah.
Rambo says 62 HRC cryo. Yeah. Kubi is, they don't shout this from the rooftops like they should, because they made a big change. They made a big change, and the only reason why I know about this is because if you look at their old knives and their old listings for their knives, and then you look at the new listings for the knives, they switched from a regular heat treat to a vacuum / cryo treat, and they're able to get much better numbers. And I can tell you that the 14C that they're putting out these days feels much different than the 14C from a couple years ago, bar none, without a shadow of a doubt. It's much more scratch resistant. 14C gets a bad name because people hate how easily it scratches, but they only hate how easily it scratches because most knife companies that use it on their $40, $50 knives, they're not heat treating it past 59. They're not. Kubi is doing 60 to 62 on 14C, and it feels like a different animal entirely. Ian says 62 to 64 seems to be unanimously good hardness for most metals. Some metals can't reach that. For example, Vanax. You won't get Vanax past 62. In fact, it's hard to find Vanax past 61. Dr. Laren Thomas did a whole article on Vanax. I did a whole Steel Snobs video on it. If Laren Thomas can't get 62 Rockwell on Vanax, most people, 99.9% of people probably can't. That's an example. M390 can marginally go past 62, like 62 and a half, but technically anything past 62 and a half and you end up with a knife that is questionable in its ability to hold up because it becomes extremely brittle. So certain steels really aren't meant for the higher hardness. Now, that isn't to say that, crewware can be heat treated. I want to say upwards of 65 to 67. ZDP 189, Maximit. There's definitely steels out there these days that are meant for that really high Rockwell, but not all steels are. It's just something to keep in mind. Palmer Connolly says, frame lock is probably my favorite lock. I love a good frame lock. I mean, who doesn't? My favorite lock is probably the compression lock. I love it because you get the best of a lot of worlds. You get a traditional style detent. You get to keep your fingers out of the cutting path of the blade when you go to close it. You get a traditionally strong lock. And especially if you get Vosteed, convenience, strength, safety, comfort, aesthetics, wear and tear too. Frame locks over time can over travel to the point of just being unusable. That rarely happens with compression style locks. Unless you're doing something you really shouldn't be doing with the knife anyways. All right. Ian says, I like that Tactile finally got 63 to 64 HRC MagnaCut. Yeah. And here's the deal with MagnaCut. I've mentioned this in my most recent Steel Snobs video, which is about a month old, which, despite the popularity of my first MagnaCut video, this one actually isn't very popular, which I get it. You already watched one. Why would you watch another one? The spoiler alert on there is that MagnaCut can give you really good properties and really good results anywhere in the realm of 59 to 65. It just depends on what results you want. Most people think of it in terms of, well, I want the best edge retention on a folding knife. But, for example, if you have a fixed blade, you might actually prefer MagnaCut at 61, 60. At the lower Rockwells for MagnaCut, you get far greater corrosion resistance and also better toughness. Now, on a folding knife, you need much less toughness, and you can still get pretty decent toughness out of MagnaCut at even 65 Rockwell. MagnaCut at 65 Rockwell will give you about the same level of toughness as CPM 10V at 60. Put that in perspective. Nobody's worrying about how brittle CPM 10V is at 60 Rockwell. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. MagnaCut at 65 still retains so much toughness that it has the same, at that much higher hardness, it still has the same level of toughness as CPM 10V, 5 Rockwell below that. So on a folding knife where edge retention is king, you can really push that. It just kind of depends on what you want though. So on a hard use knife in a saltwater environment, 60 to 62 is totally fine. You get much better corrosion resistance out of it. I live in Colorado where it is very dry, which means that I don't see as much value in corrosion resistance based on where I currently live. But I could see how people who are fishermen for a living, people who live on the coast, people who live in extremely humid environments, I can see how corrosion resistance would be a much bigger thing. I've heard stories of people whose knives have rusted just sitting in their vehicle. That blows me away because it's so stinking dry here in the Mile High, but that's just the truth for some people. And some people's use case scenarios introduce the knife to corrosive materials or substances. So I could see how that could be attractive for some people based on the scenario. But what I love about MagnaCut is the versatility, where you can get good results on either side of that Rockwell spectrum. M390 at 59 is totally fine, but it's not going to be like M390 at 61 or 62 or even 60. That's just an example. It's just an example, but I absolutely love the versatility of MagnaCut. And word on the street is that there's going to be a new steel that Laren is coming out with here in the next year or two that should be even better, that should really push the upper limits of what we can expect from Knife's super steel. As a nerd, I love that. Todd Carr says, MagnaCut 63 folder or chef knife, make it thinner, fixed blade, make it thicker, pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, what it comes down to is we can talk about knife steel properties till we're blue in the face, but the geometry of the knife itself plays a gigantic role, a bigger role than the knife steel properties do. However, a benefit of having a tougher property on a knife steel is that you can actually take that edge and make it really thin. So the tougher it is, the more stability it's going to have with a thinner edge. So while you could say, yeah, just make it thicker if you want more toughness, what if you want more sliciness and you want to hold a good edge angle? There's a reason why 14C it will take such a great thin edge. And the reason is that 14C is incredibly tough. It's incredibly tough. And so the tougher it is, the more stability it's going to have at a thinner edge angle. The thinner the edge angle, the better edge retention over time. If I had to pick geometry-based edge retention over property-based edge retention, I will take geometry-based edge retention all day. The difference is staggering. Paul Mills says, I have not had any chipping on my Para 3 and Maximate. It's a great steel in my opinion. You know what? I totally think that Maximate is a great steel. I have my reservations because I have literally witnessed it in person shatter. I've told this story before. I used to work in an office. I got a buddy of mine into Spydercos, and he bought a Spyderco Manix 2 lightweight in Maximate, and he loved it. He was giddy about how long it was holding an edge. He drops it, blade first, sticks in the carpet. It's just carpet. It falls over, and the tip snaps off, and it's not just the tip. It's like an inch of the blade just right off. In carpet. Furthermore, there are records. There is photo evidence. If you go to Reddit, which I don't suggest, but you can. If you go to Reddit, just look for Spyderco Maximate. Just type in those two words, Spyderco Maximate, and you will find a graveyard of people's shattered, broken Spyderco Maximate blades. Does that mean that they're just going to shatter by looking at them? No. but it is a more brittle steel because it runs at a much higher Rockwell. You get really, really good edge retention off of that. Great wear resistance, but it is more prone to breakage. It's just not very tough. But for that matter, neither is Rex 121. My thing is, I just think that people should understand what your use case scenario should be if you're going to use a high Rockwell hardness steel like Maximate or like Rex 121. It's not going to be your beater knife. It's not. Don't drop it from a ladder. Don't drop it tip first into anything. You know, keep it in your pocket. Respect the blade for what it is. But Maximate can be a really amazing steel if you understand that. Pocket Razor says, excellent point. Controlling edge retention mechanically is almost always overlooked and left out of the conversation versus the blade steel. Geometry is one of those things that I nerd out about on knives. It's why I do cut tests in my videos nowadays, because it's one of the things that used to be missing from my content was why did I get excited? Why did I get excited? Going through cardboard easily with a knife is something that is very satisfying to me. And you get there through great geometry. Lanyard Man says, what makes a super steel super? That's a great question. The answer is nothing. Super steel is a fictional term that was initially created, I want to say it was about 20 years ago, maybe even longer. I did some research on the topic. Super steel was initially used as a marketing gimmick to get people excited about steel being used in new and upcoming pocket knives. It was first used in a knife magazine. Later, it was popularized to talk about knives that had really good edge retention that were also stainless. One of the first so-called super steels, M390, came out, I want to say it was like 1990, 1992. That's what, 34 years ago, to give you an idea. S30, S35 VN were some of the first to be coined publicly on social media as super steels. So depending upon who you ask, you'll get a different answer each and every time. However, super steel is one of those terms that I look at as a moving target, right? Because when a new steel comes out, it kind of overshadows the older steels. Not to say that the older steels aren't good, but newer steels like MagnaCut offer much better versatility. And so our idea of what a super steel is will shift over time because of the advent of new steel compositions coming out that really push the boundaries. So the answer is super steel is a fictionalized term that we use ad nauseum because it's been popularized by the community. And that's all I'm going to say on that. John Blackman says, look at Pocket Check. Okay. You've twisted my arm, John. Hold the phone. We're going to the screen share in 3, 2, 1. Boom. Here we go. All right. I'm going to scroll up. We're scrolling. There's my Pocket Check for today. Boom. The DC Blade Ceto. Go check out my review on that. Do it. The Pawns carrying the bestechman Good Boy. Looks good. And, of course, the Olight Mini Warrior 3. Chris Waris has got the Dam Designs Uni XL Petrified Fish Beluga and the Kaiser Comet. Very nice. I like the Arizona T in the background. Hell yeah. Major Pal coming in hot with what looks like a small Sabenza. I believe that's a Jack Wolf something. It's a slip joint that I'm not familiar with. I think that's a Jack Wolf. Maybe not. Joseph S. has got the Emerson Mini CQC 15, the Cold Steel Spike Tanto. Or is it Tonto? Very nice. I like it. Ed's carrying the Kaiser Cormorant and, of course, the Winter Blade Co. I reviewed this knife. I know what this knife is. It is skipping my mind. Oh, man. This is the problem with when you review a bunch of knives, when you look at a bunch of knives. The hard part is that there's so many names and brands and so on and so forth that get stuck in my head that it can be very difficult to remember certain knives' names. Don't tell me in the chat. I know you guys are going to tell me. It's the Severn. That's what it is. The Winter Blade Co. Severn. I reviewed this knife. Love this knife. Absolutely. I like the fact that it is basically a very similar blade to the Winter Blade Co. Factor, but also that it gives you the spine lock that shifts in and out when you need it. So it's not always out there like a shark lock. It doesn't mess with the ergos. Brian Winters is absolutely genius. He's one of the few designers we have that truly pushes the bounds when it comes to design language. Kaleidoscope Knives is carrying a Manix 2, it looks like a Manix 2 XL if I'm not mistaken. Of course, the Devo Nip. Shout out to the Devo Nip. Boom, got mine right here. Man, this is a good one. Talk about a good backup carry. The Box Destroyer 9000. Love it. Very nice. All right, Craig Vincent with his customary handful of knives. We've got the Kaiser Phoenix. And we've got the Cold Steel Voyager. Spyderco Tenacious. And I'm blanking on the other ones. Very nice. Jim Miller, he's got... That's the Sencut Watauga, the J Cal by Jason Grant, and the Finch 1929. Very nice. I like Jason Grant's fixed blades that he's doing these days. He's doing great work on those fixed blades. I'm going to need to pick one of those up. Olight Baton 3 hanging out right over there in the background. He says, sorry guys, it was late and it was storming. Is that why we have No American Dream in the background, Jim? Make me a very sad boy. Crazy Roach got the Milita and the Veritas. Very nice. Very nice. John Blackman's carrying the 18-inch Damascus kukri knife with walnut handle and a 12-inch cutting blade. Dear Lord. My man John is ready to start hacking his way through the Amazon forest with that. You could definitely chop logs. You know, the beauty of a blade like this is that the geometry of the blade allows you to do hatchet-like tasks with that knife. Without a shadow of a doubt. Like, I'm not really big into bushcrafting, but I respect the people that are. And what I love about a knife like that is that it takes the purpose beyond a regular fixed blade. It takes it to a place where you can use that like a hatchet, but it's a knife. Absolutely gorgeous too. Love that Damascus blade. Looks great. Thanks for sharing, John. Appreciate it. Double D's coming in hot with a slip joint. It's a Case Whaler. And I know that because of the engraving on the blade. That's the only reason why I know that. That looks vintage. How old is that knife? Double D, let us know, how old is that knife? Charles Wooden coming in hot with the Devo Nip, the purple Devo Nip, no less. Looking good. I approve. Show me your nips. Context. Oh man, we've got the, that's a Slim Praetorian, right? The Praetorian Slim? Man, did you know that that Medford is discontinuing the Praetorian? Guys, if any of you out there want a Praetorian, get one while you can because they're discontinued officially. Kevin Smith coming in hot with the Chris Reeve. I believe that's a small Inkosi. I know it's an Inkosi. but I think that's the small. Not 100% sure. But I 100% appreciate the scenic background with the rainbow in the background. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it, man. Craig Vincent's got the tiniest the tiniest Tucson I've ever seen. It's awesome. And then Drinkwater's got the I believe that's the new Berg Blades Tick, right? I think so. All right, back to the chat. Rambo Adventure says Kukris are standard pickup truck carryover here. You know, I live in Denver. If I carried a Kukri like that on my hip, I'd probably get arrested. Some Karen out there would be like, oh my, he is endangering me at the local Target. It's true. Paul Mills says, I think they get LMAX more consistently good on the heat treat than M390, but if you can find good M390, it's way better than LMAX. I've had better luck with LMAX in general than M390, and I think that it's because of what you stated in the beginning of your message. I do think that LMAX is typically better done than M390 on average. As far as whether, you know, good M390 is better than good LMAX, you get a little bit better toughness out of LMAX than you do out of M390. If you have both of them at 62 Rockwell, the better toughness is going to shine through on LMAX at a thinner blade profile. So while you get better corrosion resistance and you get better wear resistance out of M390 at all levels of the HRC range, LMAX will always give you just a little bit better toughness, and that really does shine through on thinner edge geometries. Like once you start getting down to like 17 degrees per side, you'll really notice that. They're both great steels. They are. I just wish that we would see more companies committing to 60 to 62 on the regular for both. Todd Carr says LMAX is tougher, but M390 has it beat on edge retention and is more stainless. I believe it depends on what's important to you. Good heat treat on them. I think M390 can take higher Rockwell as well. They're about the same. They're about the same on the HRC Max. They're both between a properly heat treated LMAX and a properly heat treated M390. Both have an upper limit of 62. Welcome into Wicked Dream Designs. Good to see you. He says, aloha, everyone. Wicked Dream Designs, are you tuning in from the great state of Hawaii? If so, which island are you on? I'm curious. I got married in Hawaii. That's where my wife and I got married, on Maui. It was fantastic. Absolutely love the islands. Can't wait to visit and go back. What a great state. All right. That's one of the crazy things about the United States is that our country is so big that I think that a lot of our citizens spend so much time visiting other countries to find beauty without ever really truly experiencing the beauty we have here at home. I like to travel, and I would love to go to a number of different countries, but I gotta travel and see the states, like all of the states. I've visited a handful, but there's so many that I still need to see. And if I had to leave everyone with one thing, it would just be, you know, before you start looking elsewhere for the beauty in the scenery, have you already looked at home? Question to consider. Hey, how's it going, Chef Rocky? Welcome in. Made it in before the end of the live. Lone Star says the Forbidden Isle, naturally. Craig says, for Rolls in the chat, what is the oldest knife in your collection? this guy, this fixed blade right here. And this is the original sheath. This is also my first knife. I received this knife as a present from my father when I turned 7 years old because he was tired of me borrowing his knives. So when I turned 7, my 7th birthday, he gave me this knife. And so I'm 34 now. I was 7 then, 27 years old. Still have the original sheath. I recently refinished this blade myself by hand because I scratched the hell out of this blade. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Here we go. So I refinished this blade by hand because when I was a kid, my dad tried to teach me how to sharpen a knife, and I screwed it up. I scratched the hell out of it because I didn't understand what apexing was at the young age of 7 years old. And so I scratched the crap out of this knife. But when my father passed away in recent years, I found myself wanting to refinish this knife because it's such an iconic knife for me. This was my first knife. And so I, after he passed away, I took 300 grits sandpaper by hand to the whole blade. And then I did a progression all the way upwards of 3,000 grit. And now you can't even tell that I abused the crap out of this knife when I was a kid. This is my oldest knife, 27 years old. And that is assuming that it was made the year that it was given to me, which I didn't get this out of a box. It was given to me like this. So the chances are that this is even older than that. By how much? No idea. Jim Miller says, over 70 years, my dad's K-bar. Yeah, Jim's winning that race. Damn. 70 years old on that knife. Crazy. Gnarly Charlie says, a case jackknife from 75, 2-blade composition handle, like 2.5 inches. Nice. Rambo Adventures, man, you're going back in time. A World War II bayonet. Absolutely crazy. Arkansas EDC says, my great-grandpa had a 3-blade traditional he got for his 20th year anniversary in 1940. 1940. Wow. So that means that's over 80 years old. Bananas. Absolutely bananas. All right. But we're going to go ahead and tone it down after we read this. Lone Star says, the oldest I have purchased new Swiss Champ 32 and Cold Steel Mini Tanto, 28 years old. Awesome, man. Guys, we're nearing the end of the live stream. I want to say thank you to everybody who hung out with me for the entirety of the live stream. Thank you to all of the channel members who continue to ride with the channel. Believe it or not, it makes a huge difference to me having the support of a group of people that month in and month out come in and support me during these live streams. Thank you so much. I would not and could not do this without you. You guys make my Wednesdays and my Saturdays absolutely phenomenal. The next live stream, of course, will be on Saturday at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. Mountain, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, or 7 p.m. Pacific. I hope you can make it. If not, I understand. So for some of you guys, I will see you soon. And for everybody else, we'll see you later.